Well, you're looking good. 6 months into the 2-year beating we're going to be taking. It's not going to be pleasant. They're raising taxes, they're spending money, they're running up debt, they're throwing out regulations. We have a president who's destroyed more pipelines than the Russian hackers. It's going to be a painful 2 years. But 2 years from now, we will win. We've done it before. Bill Clinton came into power and they said, finally, the world has been restored, everything's in its right place, Democrat left-wing House, Senate governorship, big majorities for the Ds. He raised taxes, he did spending, he did regulation, he attacked our energy independence, and the Republicans swept the House and Senate in '94. And for 60% of the time, we've had a Republican House and Senate since 1994. 1994 on, 60% of the time it was Republican. For the 62 years before that, Republicans held the House and the Senate 4 years. We had one-party rule in the House for 62 years. That has changed, and that's why the left is terrified. Obama came in, said, I'm going to learn from that, tried to raise taxes, tried to spend too much, went after energy, went after Second Amendment, lost the House in 2010, almost lost the Senate, down 6. We swept the governors and the state legislatures. So when I cheerfully predict that we're going to fix things in 2 years, the left is not stupid, they're evil. They're watching too. They know that unless they change the rules, they will lose the House, they will lose the Senate, and they will lose House governorships and state legislative races. So they want to change election law. S1, Senate Bill 1, kind of tipping your hand as how important they think changing the rules are. They don't want to allow anymore to have people ask for voter ID. Wouldn't be democratic, wouldn't be like the Europeans. Oh, wait a minute, 48 countries in Europe, 47 require voter ID. And the one that doesn't is putting it in this year. They want to change labor law to force millions of Americans to pay union dues to raise billions of dollars to fund the left's efforts for the next 60 years. And then they're attacking us through taxes. They want to raise the corporate rate. Okay, well, just corporations pay that, right? Well, interestingly, the American people have figured out that when you raise the corporate rate, wages go down. The economists will tell you it's 50 to 70% dollar for dollar. When they raise the corporate rate, what happens? Wages go down. We ran that the other way when Trump and the Republicans cut the corporate rate. We took it from 35%, higher than communist China. Communist China was at 25, we were at 35. The Europeans are just about 25, we were at 35. How did we expect to compete? What was the point of that? We took it down to 21, we became more competitive, and in 2019 alone, 1 year, the median income, the average family income, median income, increased 6.8% in 1 year. That's $4,400. Americans understand you cut the corporate rate, the companies have more money to invest per worker, it's capital per worker that decides how productive people are and how much they get paid. We saw that on the way up, and we're about to see it on the way down. Add to that, they've decided, you know what? The capital gains tax under Jimmy Carter, remember Malaise? That was a good capital gains tax. Let's go back to that. So they're going to more than double the capital gains tax. Double China's capital gains tax. Some guy in Brazil have $1 million to invest. China, lower corporate income tax. China, lower capital gains tax. Why do they do this to us? What is the point on the left's part? Capital gains tax is a tax on getting rich. It's not a tax on rich people. And then they're attacking family businesses directly. 1 million of those corporations we talk about are small family businesses. 60 million Americans have some independent contractor income. Some it's what they do. They're independent contractors, tens of millions. Some it's a piece of what they do. It gives their family more flexibility. You know, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, people who have a gig economy, something on the side. The labor bill the Democrats are going to pass makes that illegal. You must have a boss. You must be an employee. You must pay union dues. No more independent contracting. They don't like small businesses. They tend to be small family businesses, and people think they're doing it on their own and that they don't have to go to the government all the time. The step up in basis has been law For when mom and dad die, the farm goes to the kids. They don't assess capital gains at that point. They say whatever mom and dad created in that farm is yours. Now, if you want to build up the farm and sell it later, you can pay capital gains taxes on that. That has been in for 100 years to save family farms. Today it saves family farms and land and homes and family businesses and your 401k. The Democrats wish to take this away. They want to destroy every small business, every family farm at generation, to destroy family continuity. They know what they're doing, comrade. This is not a mistake. This is on purpose. And then they want to use the tax code to take away people's Second Amendment. Didn't know that they're going to have a poll tax on owning a gun. That used to be unconstitutional on voting rights, but on the Second Amendment, it's a 200, this is something that our friend Biden said all the way through the campaign. He just nominated a guy, David Shipman, who believes all of this as well, that every semi-automatic weapon, now the people in here know there's semi-automatic weapon, semi means not, okay? Their friends, the Democrats, seem to think semi means sort of, okay? You pull the gun, you pull the trigger once, the gun goes off one time. They want to argue that semi-automatic should be treated like machine guns. You have to register them. There's a 13-page registration form. I read it the other day. One of the questions is, why do you want this? Oh, and by the way, if you cross state lines with your hunting rifle now, you have to alert the federal government that you have done so, because that's what they do with the automatic weapons. And they tend to do this by executive order. We'll see if they can get away with that. But a $200 tax, oh, you can avoid the $200 tax on the 15 to 16 million AR-15s out there and other rifles if you sell your gun to the government. So you can give up your Second Amendment rights and save 200 bucks. This, yes, no thank you. This is where they're going, and this is what the left understands. I mean, our coalition holds together because everybody in the Freedom Coalition, on the issue that moves them to vote, what they want from the government is to be left alone. People of faith, they want freedom of religion. Leave us alone. They're not asking for Baptist stamps. They're not having Pride Day for Episcopalians, where everybody has to tell the Episcopalians how swell they are. They just simply wish to be left alone. The Second Amendment community, leave us alone with our Second Amendment rights. They don't knock on your door on Saturday and tell you you have to be a hunter. They don't require that first grade teach everybody that wonderful book, Heather Has Two Hunters. Our coalition, the people who want to send their kids to private school or homeschool, and the numbers on homeschooling are growing rapidly. I don't know if I believe the amazing numbers that they're putting forward, the number of people that are making this commitment. Small businessmen and women who simply wish to be left alone, not taxed out of taxpayers, leave me alone. Everybody in our coalition says, on my vote-moving issue, leave me alone. That's why we can get along, because nobody has their hands in anybody else's pockets or want to tell anyone else how to run their life or lead it. Now, there is a competing coalition, the left's coalition, the Takings Coalition. I got a call when Hillary Clinton was first running for Senate, because she set up in New York what our movement, the progressives, the liberals, when they trash one word, they move to another. It used to be progressive, then it was liberal, now it's back to progressive again, which they threw out because it was synonymous with Stalinist at the old time. Anyway, they're back to progressives again. Our progressive movement needs a meeting like Grover runs in DC, and we have a center-right meeting where all the communities of faith, all the taxpayer groups, all the various business groups get together, and everyone talks about what they're doing to move freedom forward. So we know what everybody's up to and how we can work together. 40 states have similar meetings. Florida has 4 different meetings at state level in different states. And they said, well, press called and said, well, what do you think about Hillary putting together a meeting on the left? I said, well, their structure's different. Who would be at Hillary's table? Trial lawyers, labor union bosses, big city political machines, the 2 wings of the dependency movement. These are the people who are locked into welfare dependency, and the people who make $150,000 a year, making sure nobody gets a job and becomes a Republican. And then they have all of the coercive utopians, the people who invented those toilets that don't flush completely, and the lights that convince you you have glaucoma. And on Saturday, you have to separate the green glass from the white glass from the brown glass for the recycling priests who come by and bless the whole thing. These are the people who are smarter and better than we are, and they know how to run our lives. But around the left's table, They can get along as long as we're stupid enough to throw a pile of money and keep raising taxes to give them more money, because then they get along like that scene after the bank robbery in the movie. One for you, one for you. Everybody's smiling because everybody's getting paid off. But when that pile of money begins to dwindle and get down a little bit, they begin to look at each other like the Kennedy kids with one six-pack in the middle of the table. Or like that scene in the lifeboat movie where they're trying to decide who to eat or who to throw over, okay? Because there's not enough for all of us here. The left is not made up of friends and allies. It's made up of competing parasites. If we don't feed them taxpayers, they'll gnaw on the guy next to them and take his money. So our job is to say no new taxes ever, no more spending. Get that pile of cash to go down, 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 down. So the left gets to fight over that instead of going out and trying to kneecap our structures and organizations. And then we go into the next election. We have a real opportunity. We're going to take a beating at the federal level. But as you know, at the state level, we are advancing school choice. We are strengthening home school. We have 20 million Americans with a concealed carry permit. 21 states where you don't need a concealed carry permit. They have constitutional carry. No permit required whatsoever. Freedom of religion was actually advanced tremendously during the Trump administration. They announced, this is our foreign policy. Mind you, the new administration decided, no, it's not. But we did stand up there on behalf of the Uyghurs and other groups of the world where people are being persecuted for their religious beliefs and said, this matters to America. And I don't think even this administration can finish that off completely. We are advancing the movement for liberty. And as we look at state by state, New Hampshire, the courts, all right? You had a very silly Supreme Court which required the state to give money to the local governments to run education. It's now $4,500 per person. You have a governor who's a smart guy who just did something pretty clever. That $4,500, which the left considered equity, we now consider a scholarship. It follows the kid. In New Hampshire, $4,500 goes to private school, homeschooling parents, the school across the street, across town, or to the school you've been to if you're happy with it. At the state and local level, we are winning for freedom across the country. At the national level, we're going to take a beating. Let's let them not change the rules and go back and in 2 years, elect a House, a Senate, a bunch of governors committed to limited government, respect for freedom of religion, allowing people to run their own lives, to be independent contractors if they want, to be self-employed, to be part of the gig economy, anything that allows families more flexibility in how they run their economics. Let me end with one thought. This tax on corporations, this tax on businesses, they believe only 1% of Americans own shares of stock. 53% of American households have a 401k and/or an IRA. 53%. All taxes on businesses are taxes on your life savings and an effort to make you dependent on the government throughout life. We can reverse this. We can stop it. We've got 1.5 years to work. Thank you for having me. Thank you.